Hi all. Since I'm in the mood to do something productive and have a bit of time left today, more fans! First up is this Duracraft, I think, table fan. It's got an oscillator on it. The cage, protective cage, broke off years ago when it took a tumble off a tall shelf, so it doesn't really have that anymore, so it's not used a lot, but I think I might put it in the other basement room to help circulate air, because it does get kind of musty in there. But it spins quite freely. It was a bit stiff when I first pulled it out of storage, but it seems to have loosened up. We'll only need a couple drops of oil in each bearing before they're nice and happy again. Interesting thing is that this has what appears to be a, I guess, standard squirrel cage induction motor in it instead of a shaded pole motor. Another interesting thing, this thing has nearly unity power factor when turned on. If I turn it on the high setting, the camera might pick up some wind noise, but it's almost silent. That's drawing 0.23 amps from the line. 26.5 watts, 26.8 volt amps. It's got a 0.98 power factor. Let's see what happens when I switch it to medium. That is 0.2 amps from the line, 22.9 watt, 23.1 volt amps, so 0.99 power factor. And then on low, that is 0.18 amp from the line, 21.3 watt, 21.9 volt amp, 0.98 power factor. So that's interesting. Let's take a look at the motor. Safety first. Unplug, even though the switch is off. Make sure it's de-energized before opening. It has a hub where turning it to the right loosens it, because that means that the forces on it, as the blades turn that way, will force it to continuously tighten, so it can't come undone. Blades slide right off. There's the motor shaft, and some screws on the front. So, trusty screwdriver. This is experimenting with the new continuous rambling style of video in real time. So, sorry if it bores you. If it does, either click on to something else or leave a comment, because usually I do pretty closely edited videos where I cut out a lot of the messing around, so it goes quicker, but in this case I might as well try doing a full length. There's the front cover off. I'll zoom in a bit on the motor there. Well, here's the front of the induction motor. It actually does appear to be a true full induction motor, not a shaded pole induction motor. Gonna get the back off and zoom out first. And easy. I love it when devices actually have screws that don't strip out and can actually be serviced by someone who has some idea what they're doing. That pops right off, and the cover lifts off, revealing the motor and the gearbox. So, it's a much more substantial motor than on the little fan I serviced and freed up earlier. Actually got a lot of metal parts. There's the top cover here is plastic, but most of the linkage is metal, so that's decent. Might need a little bit of an adjustment or tighten. That's in pretty good shape. Appears to be a little run cap or something there, maybe a start cap. I'm not sure. This thing doesn't exactly have a wiring diagram anywhere listed, so first I'm going to make sure there's not some nasty voltage waiting on that to bite me as I further take this apart. Nope. Cap is discharged, just to be safe. Yeah, that's discharged. That won't bite. And I guess 4 screws on the back there to pull the motor apart. I'm going to edit this out. Well, that's disappointing. I wanted to take this whole motor apart to both look at the little rotor in there and give it some oil, but these screws back here are both very tightly clamped down from the factory, and they're also already partially stripped, so I can't get a good enough purchase on them with this driver without stripping them entirely. So, blah. Guess it's going to be me trying to get little drops of oil into the bearings. Just turn it up on its side and get oil in that way. Oh well, a bit disappointing with this one. At least I got to give it a bit of oil. And that's blowing a fair bit of air. Here's a little indicator. That's blowing a fair bit of air. But on to the next fan. Next up for a bit of a service is this little, I guess, table or floor or anywhere fan. Duracraft, same manufacturer as the one I previously serviced. Legs at different spacing so it can be sat at a variety of angles. Got 2 speeds, high and low, and switch just on the nose there. And it is really dirty inside. And as far as I know, it's never been a part for a service. So it is time. This one was a pain in the butt to get apart. It is very dirty in there. Yeah. Also, for further annoyance, this unit also has the fan sort of crimped onto the shaft with a little cap, so it's not really designed to be removed or serviced in any way. Most I can do is get some of the dust off the motor and then see if I can drop some oil in strategic places so it doesn't meet the seized up fate of the first fan I serviced today. That's what happens when one of these fans is used in a basement for many years. Still turns pretty freely, but just to keep it happy, I'll see if I can unscrew it from the plastic, though I am doubtful as to being able to do that, considering the previous fan was impossible to get the motor apart. But this one appears to cooperate a little bit more. Yeah, I can actually undo the screws from this one. I think that's dirty. Looks like I can just get some oil to drop down there and into the bearings. And the same thing with the front bearing. It wasn't that stiff to begin with, but always good to give it a bit of a booster. There, at least it goes back together easier than it comes apart. Time for a test. Shop light didn't like the voltage spike. .36 amps from the line, 22.5 watt, 42.1 volt amp, 0.53 power factor. On low, we have 0.23 amp, 15.6 watts, 27.2 volt amps, and 0.57 power factor. Thanks for watching.